that looks really cool and realistic and immersive. I'm gonna go jack off in the dark with a headset on now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Sam.
My name's Ansgar, and today we're going to be talking about VR in general. So let's get straight into it. For VR, there's a couple options on the market now. So we've seen everything from like the Samsung Gear VR and the Noon headset, which is a new headset. Those guys are kind of entry level. They work with your smartphones. The Gear VR specifically works with Samsung S6 series phones and S7 series phones. The Noon actually works with any 4.7 to 5.5 inch phone. So that one, it has a little advantage in the fact that it's still using the same kind of Oculus designed lenses and everything, but you can use it with an iPhone or a Samsung or any other Android phone. So that's pretty cool. We've also got the PlayStation VR coming in there. Then we're going to the Oculus, and at the top of the food chain, at least in terms of price, so to speak, is the HTC Vive. So like the prices, the Gear VR and the Noon are just over $100 there, at least Canadian.
Pretty much the same price, yeah.
Yeah, basically the same price. Then we've got the PlayStation VR, which in American dollars is $400. Here in Canada, probably it'll be a little bit more.
Yeah, probably
Sadly,
around
yeah.
470, probably somewhere around there.
Neighbors to the north just get screwed over, man.
Sadly,
yeah,
that's what happens when the dollar plummets. Then we got the Oculus Rift over about $600, probably around. That's probably United States pricing.
Yeah,
as well.
it's probably gonna be around 800-900 Canadian
Yeah.
almost.
And then sadly, the Vive over $1,000, probably over $1,000 Canadian with GST and all that too.
Yeah.
So.
Now the subtle differences, like the Gear VR and the Noon, which are your smartphone headsets, those guys just require a modern smartphone and you're good to go. The PlayStation VR at this time, obviously it's not out yet, but at this time Sony has only announced compatibility with PlayStation. However, they hinted that maybe there might be PC support for it in the future.
And the VR for the PlayStation is it just the mask and you just play with your controller, or are they trying to implement some like...
Yeah, it actually
PSI.
comes with you remember those move sticks?
Yeah, the
those
PSI
glowy
things. Yeah.
Yeah. So with PlayStation VR, you can actually use those move sticks,
cool.
right? But obviously, also they mentioned the controller can be used with it because it has that little light on it too. And honestly, who knows how they're gonna design the games around that and what's really gonna take off. The Oculus is a little bit more of a high-end headset, so it's got the best resolution. So it's going to be a little bit easier on the eyes.
Yeah, pretty much started the whole virtual reality type movement for like video games and stuff, from what I understand. So
yeah, it was definitely now Oculus, obviously owned by Facebook, if you haven't heard. So who knows what's going to happen with that. But the Oculus right now would ship with a Xbox One controller actually. And they announced these little movie type controllers, except they look a lot better than the PlayStation Move sticks. So those will probably be coming down later for the Oculus as well. And then the Vive is the most interesting one in my opinion, because I don't know if you've seen a lot about it, but basically it comes with a set of sensors
yeah, it
for
comes
your room.
with moving, pretty much
Location?
Yeah.
Yeah,
something like that.
Like it has those like movie sticks, but it's also got sensors in your room so that it can also track your walking distance, right? So you can actually walk around the room and it'll transfer that motion into the game. And we've seen a little bit of examples in that, and I think that Portal demo, and I think there's a game called like Bullet Train or something. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think they had a 5 game, like almost like a play test with a whole bunch of like people came to the, I think it was like maybe Valve headquarters or something, something along the lines of with Valve. And it was, I think they even had like a paint game where you got to like paint like stuff with it.
Oh yeah, I remember that like, little artistic thing, which is pretty cool, I guess. So those are kind of the main options now on the market, I guess. But the real question here is, first of all, how do you feel about VR in general as a concept?
For something I haven't really had the experience of really using at the moment, I think it's kind of, at the moment, it's kind of gimmicky, just for the fact that most people use like in example for gaming, you kind of just, when you want to look up, you push the analog stick up, or if you want to look down, you look down. And that's pretty much how all the looking works right now. But obviously, if you have no idea how virtual reality headsets work, it tracks your movements going up and down with your head. So you can be moving around and then look left, but still not have to move your character's head left or right. You're actually, it's almost like
you're doing it yourself, basically. Yeah. And you can also like look back and spin around. And see everything, right? So
it might be something that once you actually get used to, it could be cool. I think it could be kind of like a 3D thing though at the same time, where at first it's really cool. Developers put a whole bunch of time into it, try to develop it as quick as possible, and then maybe it just kind of fades out and just something that is kind of overrated in my opinion. But
yeah, like I think like I'm not going to say it's a gimmick. I do think VR it works, but it only works for, so far at least, for certain experiences. So for example, I've seen demos of the HTC Vive where you're actually walking around, except your room is limited to space. So what happens is when you reach a certain point, the only way to progress in the game is to basically use like an in-game teleport button that teleports you to, like, for example, the end of the hallway, and then you can walk another 15 feet or however long your room is, and then you have to teleport again to, like, it's really weird. I think that's gonna
I wonder if they could implement like they could implement a button that you like walk from one side of your room to the next, you push the button and you kind of like set yourself back up just to be like, okay, I think I'm going to take like 10 more steps to go to the door I'm going to take, instead of just almost like a point. Oh, that's where I actually want to go.
Yeah.
I feel.
I think, I still think that part kind of, I just think it's a little bit annoying, not that well thought out. I think VR really shines in cockpit scenarios, or scenarios where you're actually not moving, but only your head's moving. So like, we have tried roller coaster demos that, for example, feel really realistic. Like you get all the velocity and the sense of motion, and you could even easily get motion sickness. Like if you get motion sickness in real life on a roller coaster, you're gonna get motion sickness in VR as well, and it transfers over really well. Same with, I think, like playing Eve Valkyrie or games like Star Citizen and stuff where you're in a spaceship. That I could see being a really cool experience. And racing games, stuff like that, like cockpit based, like first person non-movement, where
something that makes it so it's not you personally walking and controlling it. That's why I think like with the sticks, I think they would almost have to implement like almost like, I don't know if you really use the like Wii little nunchuck, how it had the analog stick on it. I almost think they still need to have that in there, just so you could control your movements. Because I think, like Ansgar was saying, with like the walking, with at least the Vive, sorry, but with that, it kind of get annoying, because obviously if you play like, I don't know, like maybe Call of Duty, where there could be just a section where you're just walking and gunning for, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times probably your size of your room. It'd be kind of annoying to like, you'd be like
teleport.
Yeah, you'd be shooting your guy, and then you'd be trying to strafe left, and then all of a sudden you hit your door or
like
your wall, or knock over a vase or something, because you're so immersed, because obviously you're going to probably be wearing a headset.
Well, the Vive does come, like, in game, it shows you like a wall, like a digital wall, so it knows where your wall is, so it like pops up and kind of warns you you're about to smash your face into the picture or whatever.
At the same time, I still think it would happen, like if you're like really focusing on like the enemy, unless it's just like warning.
You just trip over yourself and just boom,
go crazy. But
I don't know. I think it's also interesting to think about like the implications, like if VR does take off, like how many people I could just see sitting in their rooms just with the headset on, completely out of it, and they like become addicted to it, and everyone's just like in a virtual world at that point. I mean, you already see it today with addicted gamers and stuff, but obviously that'll always exist. But I think like with VR, it'll be taken to another level. So I mean, that should be interesting to see. how people respond to that. But who knows? I mean, we've got all these different headsets and everything. So I'm curious, which one do you think, out of the 5 kind of main ones, which ones do you think have the most potential of actually cornering the market and becoming like the staple virtual VR
reality
headsets?
set? Yeah.
Like, I mean, from my perspective at least, I think that you're gonna have headsets like the Gear VR and the Noon, and
the Samsung Gear. I think that the Samsung Gear could work fairly well. I think the Noon could go off the best based on like
compatibility wise.
Yeah, because you can use so many phones, and I don't know if you've really seen any of like the. I think there was a McDonald's suggested sponsored pick.
I didn't see that.
Page or video on one of my news feeds where you could actually like use your phone as a 3D thing where you could like move it around. I'm assuming that's for the VR implementation of it, to put it on your headset and like watch the video and like move your head around as I think it was like a skiing, like a sleigh video where you got like pulled behind a horse or something. So you could see like skiers going beside you and shit. So it was like kind of interesting that way to like think of just not like just gaming implementations, but movie implementation. So in that way, I think it could be interesting, but at the same time, I think it would cost a lot to actually like get into like cameras that can.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like with the mobile headsets, like the thing that's gonna make the market take off is porn. And that's also, not only is that every time technology gets introduced to porn, it like that's where everyone sees it first. But like on sites, like the first thing you see is like, here's our new VR section. Like it's actually advertised where no one else right now is really publicly advertising VR. So people are going to go to these porn sites, be like, oh, it says like compatibility with what's this Gear VR and the Google Cardboard and all this kind of stuff. And they're going to be like, oh, this is $100. It has a like really entry level price. And people are willing to spend dough on jerking off. Like, it's a sad truth, but
yeah,
they're going to be like, oh, that looks really cool and realistic and immersive. I'm going to go jack off in the dark with a headset on now. So, I don't know. I think that is honestly going to be the market leader, like the mobile headsets, because of the entry-level price.
Yeah.
And
I think the Noon, could really take off. I think in terms of actually like more of the game-stricted ones, like the Vive, the Oculus Rift, maybe not so much, but I still think that one could be more restricted to more like PCs type stuff and PlayStation. I think that I think the PlayStation one would probably be the best because it's obviously cheaper, and if you have the sticks or you can play with your controller, can kind of help it out.
Yeah, I mean, for the higher end headsets, the PlayStation VR is definitely the most affordable of them, and like 40 million people out there have a PlayStation or more now at this point. So it's still, the asking price is still $400, which is the price of a new console. So I think out of those 40 million people and growing that own a PlayStation, I don't honestly know what the attach rate's going to be, and it's really going to depend on the software that ships with it. If it's just gimmicky crap software, no one's going to buy the VR headset, and then developers aren't going to make good content for it, and it's just going to spiral down. And for that reason, I think that the Oculus and possibly the Vive have a large chance of success, not necessarily in the gaming market, but in scientific applications, educational applications. Like, could you imagine like schools like going to like your science class or something and learning about like the solar system, and they have like a couple of these Vives there at the school, and you just put it on, and all of a sudden like you're on another planet, and you can
I think maybe later on, like I'm talking like maybe 10 years down the road, when it's not as expensive, because obviously to get a Vive, say you have obviously we were in a fairly small high school, like probably 800 people at its peak.
Our high school sucked, but like if it was like a large city school or something, they could probably afford one or two of these things, and it could be like a really cool like educational tool.
The only thing is, I think it'd be really expensive to implement, because if you go say with the
Vive,
the Vive, probably you wouldn't have to get. I don't know. Can you buy it without the motion tracker?
No,
sticks?
it actually comes in a set of everything, so it comes with
so
the
I'd
headset.
probably have to go with the Oculus Rift because it's going by itself at the moment. So obviously you're probably gonna have to buy like 30 to 100 of them, and then buy a computer that's actually powerful enough to run the Rift.
Yeah, that's going to be the big part too, because even PC gamers, even though Steam's technically the largest gaming community, most of those gamers probably just have a laptop that's like $600 and they play like League on it or something.
Yeah, so you have to have a fairly powerful graphics card to run at the resolution that you need to have two little screens running at that resolution to not feel super pixelated or not get motion sickness because of it. So
yeah, and just like the minimum specs for the Oculus and HTC Vives is NVIDIA GTX 970, which here is like a $400 to $500 card depending where you go, and the whole PC is going to be between $1,200 and $1,500, and that's just to run the damn thing. Then you need to buy the headset as well, so you're looking at almost a $2,000, if not a little bit more than $2,000 investment for that
just right now. So
yeah,
that's why it's like kind of like you'd almost have to spend upwards to like almost $6,000 to $60,000 just to buy some headsets if you wanted to use it for educational purposes. But
yeah, but
it could, like, obviously if you understand graphic card or computer implementations, you understand that eventually in about 2 years the NVIDIA card is going to be like probably $200.
Yeah, I mean,
graphic cards pretty much come out almost, it seems like every 2 months, some new super powerful card that makes the last one look like a piece of junk. Kind of like phones, every 8 or 10 months you see a new advertisement for the new Samsung Galaxy 7 or iPhone S comes out or something like that.
Well, that's the other reason, is that the iPhones and the Samsung devices, they come out on a yearly basis, and they're also the entry-level market for that. So everyone already owns an iPhone or a Samsung phone or an Android phone, and getting a $100 headset is going to be bang on. But I think for now, at least with Oculus and Vive, it is going to be big institutions, at least in my opinion, that are going to adopt them. So like things like NASA and Tesla or something, like medical institutions, like these are like the big rich facilities. They're going to be probably investing in this stuff and making some really cool content that has nothing, or not content, but applications that have nothing to do with gaming. I, in my opinion, think that gaming is going to be literally the last, like it's going to be porn, scientific and educational applications, and then gaming.
I think gaming will push it harder than the other two because of obviously the needs of, I think, gamers just like demanding better graphics, better performance. Scientific and all that, I don't think they're going to want to, they want it, obviously the look of it to look pristine so they can see better things with, say they're looking at an atom or something with their VR headset when they got it on the microscope or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's why the Noon or the Samsung, I think, could also blow up, because you could just send it to your phone.
Well, that's all the time we've got there for today, but let us know what you think about VR. Which headsets do you think are going to come out on top? And what do you think is going to drive VR home or burn it to the ground, in other words? We are going to have some polls up on our Twitter and Facebook pages, so definitely be sure to join there if you want to take part. Then you can select what your opinion would be, and the whole community can see what you chose. So, and you'll see a little overview.
Yeah. So probably visit the description down below to see those links to our Facebook groups and stuff for the polls. And then, as always, subscribe.
Be sure to like or
comment down below.